From spiders trying to live a peaceful life in someone's ear to parasitic worms munching on your brain, here are 8 shocking creatures found living inside the human body. Number 8. A cockroach. Do you know the reason behind your headaches? Is it stress? Did you skip a meal? Lack of sleep? Are you sure? Selvi, a 42-year-old domestic worker, thought of these reasons too. According to a report published by the New Indian Express, she had a weird feeling around her nose and eyes. But her headache was caused by something way creepier than lack of sleep. The reason she was having headaches was a cockroach. You know, those little not-so-cute insects that apparently don't care where they live as long as the place is hot and comfy. According to the same report, Selvi felt something crawling inside her nostril while falling asleep. She tried to brush it aside, but her efforts were unsuccessful. After a long night of extremely painful sensations and discomfort, she ended up at Stanley Medical College Hospital, where doctors found the cockroach sitting on her skull between her eyes. Rumors go that he was observed enjoying an English cup of tea to mark the success of finding the best home in cockroach history. The entire thing had a happy ending. The cockroach was evicted from Selvi's skull. Good news is, if it hadn't been removed, it would have probably died. Bad news, if it had died inside, the dead insect would have caused an infection which would have spread to the brain. And yeah, that's not good. Number 7. Spider in the ear. The Chinese media picked up a story about a girl named Li Meng. She swore up and down that she was being punished by evil spirits. No, this is not a story from the Middle Ages. It happened in 2015, the 21st century. The story goes like this. While on a hiking trip, Li and her superstitious boyfriend had a great time until they had a fight over some berries. We've all been there, right? Li found some wild berries growing over a tomb. Her boyfriend told her that eating them was the worst idea possible, not only because they were growing on a tomb, but because you shouldn't go around eating wild berries unless you're 100% positive they aren't poisonous. Anywho, Li couldn't care less about her boyfriend's superstitious warning, and so she ate them. Not long after the trip, she started hearing weird sounds accompanied by pain in her ear. When the noises and the pain appeared, she started thinking evil spirits were punishing her for eating the wild berries, and that her boyfriend was right. She tried curing herself with prayers, but as you might have expected, that didn't work. So she had to get some medical help. Eventually, doctors at Xiamen City Hospital found out why Li had this weird problem. No demon. The problem was an unwanted guest, a small spider that built its home in her ear canal. The unwanted guest was resting on her eardrum, and he liked it so much that every time doctors tried to get him out, he would react violently, resulting in more pain for Li Meng. To finally get him out of his new apartment, they used medicine to get him dizzy enough to not be able to react, and pulled him out with tweezers. And now for number 6. But first, be sure to subscribe if you are new here. We'd love to have you. Right, subs? By the way, I hope you're not eating lunch while watching this video. Number 6. Pea plant in lung. Hey kids, next time your parents insist that you eat your vegetables and you don't feel like doing it, just say these 2 words, Ron Sveden. It's not a magic spell. It's the name of the man that returned home from the hospital with the weirdest vegetable-related diagnostic, a pea plant that was growing in his lung. Mr. Sveden was a retired 75-year-old teacher who was already struggling with emphysema when his breathing problems took a turn for the worse. He was rushed to the hospital by his frightened wife in May of 2010. Doctors found that his left lung had collapsed. The ex-teacher feared that he had developed a tumor after a grainy spot was found, but the doctors weren't able to fully confirm that it was a tumor, and they could find no evidence of cancer. What they had discovered was a lot more interesting. Samples showed that the green vegetable was growing inside the lung, like in your grandma's green garden. Doctors speculated that the pea went down the wrong pipe and was small enough to get in there, but too big to get out. Everything ended up all right, and the elderly couple was even able to joke about everything that happened. So, vegetables might not kill you, but they can try. Number 5. Green tooth. There's not much you can do when a pea plant begins growing in your lung, but a 36-year-old Taiwanese man had a plant start growing out of his almost dead tooth. Apparently, taking care of his teeth wasn't his favorite hobby, but after experiencing a tremendous toothache, the man decided it was time to pay a visit to the dentist. His poor dental hygiene was, of course, the reason behind the great toothache. But there was something else. After the dentist extracted the decaying molar that was causing trouble, he was shocked to find out that a guava sprout had started to emerge out of the cavity inside the molar. This strange discovery attracted a lot of attention from the other dentists and patients who were waiting for their turn. The gentleman was extremely embarrassed and left the clinic as soon as possible to avoid the walk of shame that was awaiting him. After all, nobody wants to be turned into a freak show. The doctor managed to get a shot of the tooth. The photo has since then circulated all over the internet, managing to prove two things. First, dental care is important. Second, the plants are coming for us. Number 4. Fish in penis. Have you ever hated someone so much that you wished all kinds of bad things would happen to them? I mean, it happens to the best of us, but I bet not one of you have imagined such a disturbing event as what happened to an Indian boy a couple of years ago. The boy, according to the Daily Telegraph, was simply cleaning the fish tank in his home. For some reason, he had to go to the bathroom and he was holding the fish in his hand. Wasting time by putting the fish back in its tank is not something a 14-year-old would do when such an emergency occurs, I guess. Okay, so anyway, he ended up holding the fish in his hand while in the bathroom, and somehow the fish slipped out of his hand and entered his urethra. Well, I don't really know how that's possible, but you can only imagine what his reaction was. From that moment, the boy began experiencing extreme pain, dribbling urine, and acute urinary retention, which means that you can't urinate at all. That was pretty bad for the boy and definitely not good for the fish that was causing this problem. He was rushed to a hospital where he was treated successfully, and doctors and professors wrote an academic paper describing the case. After detecting the fish, they had a lot of trouble getting it out of there. In the end, they did it with a rigid ureteroscope with a tool attached that is meant for removing bladder stones. Ouch. Number 3. Squid Baby. I'm not sure where to even start with this one. Disgusting? Interesting? Funny? Ugh, I'll let you decide. So let me just get to it. Apparently, a woman was impregnated by the squid she was trying to eat. Well, kind of. To be more precise, the woman's mouth was impregnated by the squid. How? Well, that's a little harder to explain than you might think, but I'll try. The South Korean woman was enjoying her portion of parboiled squid when out of nowhere she experienced a sharp pain in her mouth. She spat everything out. After this weird sensation, the woman said that she felt something in her mouth, something that could be described as bug-like organisms. When examined, the doctors found baby cephalopods attached to her mouth. After they looked a little closer, they discovered that they had to remove 12 small white bug-like organisms stuck in the mucous membrane of the tongue and her cheek. The foreign bodies that the woman sensed were identified as squid spermatophores. Apparently, squid spermatophores can be described as packages that carry semen and other tools that attach themselves on the female squid's body, or in this case, in a woman's mouth. Pretty sure that she felt anything but motherly love. Number 2. Worm in brain. There are a lot of movies out there where all of humanity is threatened by a small species of worms that infect human brains and slowly change them into some kind of zombie. In most of these movies, the heroes ally with some badass doctors to get rid of the threat. We're all saved! Well, that has never happened in real life and will probably never happen. There are worms that infect human brains as real as you. But don't worry too much about it. No zombie apocalypse is expected, for now. That doesn't make the brain-infecting worms harmless. A 50-year-old Chinese man went to a hospital in the UK complaining of headaches, seizures, memory flashbacks, and even an altered sense of smell. Doctors had a very hard time figuring out what was causing these problems. It took them 4 years to finally find the parasite and get it out of the unfortunate patient. It's believed that he picked up the parasite while on a visit to China. However, how he came to be infected is unknown. It could have been the water or a piece of infected meat. Who knows? Actually, we don't really know much about this little worm at all. We have no idea how many species it can infect or how. Number 1. A baby. Pregnancy is supposed to be a joyful occasion, but not when the one who is pregnant is a man. I swear, a pregnant man. Sanju Bhagat from India was mocked his entire life because of his not-so-normal belly. People from his village would tease him that he looked like he was 9 months pregnant. What they had no idea about is that in a way, they were somehow right. Sanju was actually kind of pregnant. He was suffering from an extremely rare medical condition, fetus in fetu. What this means is that his twin got trapped inside him before being born. Usually when this happens, both twins end up dying from the strain of sharing a placenta, but in some cases, the host twin survives and is delivered. This is the case of Sanju. His parasite twin lived inside of him for 36 years. He survived by forming an umbilical cord-like structure that leaches Sanju's blood supply until it grows so large that it starts to harm the host. At this moment, the host experiences severe pain and various other problems. This is the time when doctors intervene. They manage to get the parasite twin out of Sanju's body, but not before being shocked by his condition. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. Remember to subscribe and share this video with your friends to gross them out. See you next time. Bye!